Goku is surprised when Trunks tells him this. He tries to ask for more information, but Trunks just doesn't have any. The best he got is theories that Gohan and his mother came up with. They speculate that these aren't really Ann and Sasha, but just robot lookalikes. Their second theory is that if it is them, they are most likely being controlled. Goku questions how that one could be one of their theories, to which Trunks tells him that shortly after Goku had came back, Ann and her friend used the Dragon Balls to go back home. Trunks tells Goku that it's best that if Ann and her friends doesn't go back to their world, and that they should stay for the next 4 years, just in case the invasion still comes in. If not, then they can still go home. Before Trunks leaves, he asks Goku to try to help Ann repair her friendship with her friends, because this was one of Gohan's regrets, because Gohan always told Trunks about how Ann was, and that ever since Raditz came in, Ann hasn't really been the same. The fact that his last memory of Ann before he died was that she and her friends were not talking and that she wasn't her happy self kinda hurt. Goku said he'll try what he can, to which reassures Trunks. And with that, just like in the original show, he sets off back to the future, and Goku and Piccolo tells everyone what is happening. Of course, just like in the original, they don't tell them about Trunks' parents, and that Ann and her friends need to repair their friendship. While discussing on this, Goku was thinking on what he could possibly do, and the best thing he can think of is putting them in a room together, but they can easily just get out of any other room. That's when he came up with another idea, an idea that can actually be helpful for preparation as well. Use the hyperbolic time chamber. When Goku suggested this, Ann is frightened to go back in there. She does not want to go back in there. In fact, she kind of starts to have a mini panic attack because of it, and out of instinct, mainly due to how they've helped Marcy when she would have panic attacks, Sasha and Marcy helps Ann calm down, similar to how Ann and Sasha helped Marcy. Goku tells them that they won't be doing this alone, and in fact they don't really even need to stay the full year. That's more of a mini goal for them. If they can last a full year in the hyperbolic time chamber, then that's great, but if they can't, then they don't have to. And so all the Z-Fighters agreed to try the hyperbolic time chamber. When they reach Kami's lookout, they start pairing off on who to go with. However, Goku suggests that Ann, Marcy, and Sasha goes in and they should go in first, which surprises all three of them. Ann actually pulls Goku to the side, telling him that they're not really talking at the moment, to which Goku says that it'll be fine. Of course, Kami and Mr. Popo brings up the limitation of the hyperbolic time chamber, which is that it can only take 2 persons. Goku asks if there's some way to modify it to have all 3 of them in there, to which, yeah, they can, but it'd be more the fact that they won't get a full year in the hyperbolic time chamber, mainly so that the magic of the chamber can go towards supplies and stuff like that, which is fine. The other 3 are still apprehensive about going in together, but Goku pushes them to go in. Gohan was able to quickly realize what Goku was planning, so he suggests it. Even Krillin suggested it, Piccolo, and to an extent Vegeta, to which all 3 with them go into the chamber. Once in the chamber, they still stuck to their not really talking rule, so they just did their own thing. They would train in the chamber, but not train together. They would train individually. It wasn't long until they ended up getting a routine going, where one would sleep, one would train, and one would bathe. It just kept going on this cycle until one day, Sasha was training by herself and had just gotten out of the bath and was going to make herself something to eat. They see and hear Marcy crying and immediately go to check on Marcy. But Sasha, who notices Ann through the corner of her eye, sees her going over to Marcy. When she reaches her, they see that she is crying in her sleep. Once again, instinctively, they comfort her. They sit on her bed with Sasha rubbing Marcy's head and Ann holding her hand. This gets Marcy to calm down a bit. She's hurting, isn't she? Yeah, she is. I haven't been making it easy on her either. I don't blame you. I mean, after everything that has happened, with us being transported to this world, the situation with Vegeta and Frieza, it's just... Yeah. Why were you with him anyways? What? Why were you with Vegeta? When he came to invade Earth, why were you with him? I basically landed in their lap. And I was given an ultimatum, and it's a whole ordeal. It basically ended it with me wanting to be strong. I guess I ended up wanting to prove something to him as well. You know, I had to train myself half to death to survive in the Frieza Force. Even the grunts that were there were able to leave me to die. If it wasn't for their healing chambers, I would have been dead a long time ago. I forced myself, trained myself hard enough to survive, and he ended up seeing how much I improved. I guess I just wanted that attention from him. So much so that you all wanted to kill me. You know I never want to hurt you, man. I thought if I just kept following orders, you would keep me safe and I could still find us a way to come back home. But I guess all I did was make things worse. It made you push us away. We all make mistakes, Sasha. But, we're here now. Now that we're stuck in here, the only thing we can do now is just talk. Yeah, we can just try to keep ignoring each other and train, but what good will that'll do? We also need to talk to Marcy as well. Of course we do. They stay a little bit longer, comforting Marcy. Because of this conversation, Sasha decides to turn in early. She goes to bathe while Anne preps a meal for her and Sasha. After they eat, they contemplate whether or not they should sleep in the same bed as Marcy, but Anne suggests against it, not wanting to shock Marcy, to which Sasha agrees to. And so they will sleep together on the other bed. The next day, when Marcy wakes up, she doesn't see that Anne and Sasha are sleeping in the other bed. She just goes to bake herself some food. It isn't until when she starts to train herself that they call her over. When she goes up to them, she is shy about it and doesn't really know what to say. She doesn't even want to look at them. She keeps her head down, feeling ashamed for what she does. Hey, Marmar. Yeah? You know we need to talk, right? Oh. Why now? After 2 years? We gotta do this sooner or later, Marcy. That is, of course, if you don't want to be friends anymore. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, Yeah, I do know. But the thing is, I really don't want to lose our friendship. Yeah, neither do I. You're not the only one that made a mistake, Marcy. I was caught up in trying to be strong or trying to find a way home, but which ended up with me siding with Vegeta, who, at the time, was invading Earth. He basically killed half the other group out there. What? Yeah, that's why there was a rift between us when we found you. And I guess because I was still hurt by what Sasha did, it hurt even more finding out what you did, Marcy. I ended up forcing the rift between us as well. All of us. But you were right. I mean, you were right to put the distance between us. How could you even trust me after everything, after what I did? I'm the reason we're stuck here. I'm the reason we've been put into situations that could have gotten us killed. And you almost died because of me. We both did. Frieza, he almost killed us. And it was all because of me. Marcy, you didn't know any of that would have happened. We've all done things we wish we could take back, but that's not how life is. Yeah, we got Dragon Balls now, but the fact that it still happened. That includes your mistake, Marcy. But it wasn't a mistake, Sasha. I betrayed your trust. Both of you. I didn't want to move away. So I just got us trapped in another dimension just by finding that stupid book. But we still got separated anyways. And now we're stuck in this deadly situation all because of my selfishness. Marcy, listen to me. You made a mistake. You wanted us to keep us together. I get that. We both do. We faced so much already, Marcy. And yeah, Frieza was terrifying. We nearly lost everything, but we didn't. We're still here. I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm gonna lose you guys. They'll mess things up for good and you'll leave me. You won't lose us, Marmar. We'll stay together. No matter what. We lost each other once. I won't let that happen again. We'll get through this. And with that, they decide to take the next few days off of training so that they can work on themselves and start talking again and reform their bond. It doesn't take long for them to reform their bond, only about a week. And after that week, it seems like there was never a rift between them. Now they are back to training, and this time they're all training together. And in terms of power, they are making huge leaps together than they would have individually. This goes on for a few weeks until one day in the morning, they were getting ready for breakfast. Anne was making some food, Sasha was setting up the table, and Marcy just got done cleaning up. Anne was serving the food, to which when Marcy sees it, she is glad for. So much so that she actually gives Anne a kiss on the lips, which surprises her. When she goes to sit in her chair, she passes Sasha. And as she does, she also gives Sasha a kiss on the lips. Just as she reaches her chair, she stops as what she just did finishes processing. She looks up and sees both Anne and Sasha looking at her with a surprised look on their face. This immediately gets her fearing again that she just ruined their just repaired friendship. And so Marcy tries to run away. She runs out of the building and tries to fly into the void of the chamber. But she doesn't get too far as Sasha and Anne intercept her. Marcy explains that she just ruined everything, that she shouldn't have done that. She is profusely apologizing, trying to save face. She is basically having a panic attack. It isn't until Anne and Sasha give her a group hug and squeeze tight, basically trying to ground her. When Marcy calms down, they talk to her. Anne tells her that she wasn't mad about it, she was just surprised. Sasha says the same thing and even clarifies that she kinda liked it, which surprises Marcy. She looks at Anne, to which Anne agrees. She liked it too. This puts them in an awkward silence for a bit, but they're still hugging Marcy. Marcy breaks that silence by asking if there is a way if they can start dating. To which they both ask, does she mean dating one of them or both of them? To which Marcy shyly says both. They're not opposed to it, and they agree to it, which makes Marcy really happy. They spend the remaining of the chamber not only just getting used to this new norm of being in a relationship, but to continue improving their power. And in fact, the first few weeks of training with this new label was very awkward for them because they kind of felt like they didn't want to hurt them, or they didn't want to seem or feel like they're just beating their new girlfriend. It wasn't until Anne and Sasha had a one-on-one sparring session to where Anne was the one telling Sasha to put more power into it. This gets to a point where Sasha thought for a moment she killed Anne, only for Anne to burst out of the smoke from being hit with mini ki blasts in her Calamity form. This gets Anne very excited when Sasha did this, and tells Sasha to keep giving her this much power, which greatly lifts this weight off of Sasha. And so, wanting to give Anne what she wants, she too transformed into her Calamity form to give Anne the proper fight she's looking for. Marcy, even though she doesn't have her Calamity form, sees this and kinda wants to join in, and so she joins in. And so for the first time ever in the chamber, they actually train 100%. It doesn't take long for them to realize that Marcy doesn't have this type of power. They don't really know if she actually does have it or not. And so they try some tactics to try to get Marcy to unlock this power, to which eventually she does. And it honestly wasn't that hard. They were surprised by how quickly Marcy got it, to which Marcy remembers her training with P-Bara, He told her that even though Marcy was able to get past a mental barrier that she had on herself, she still had many mental barriers. And this was one of the barriers that she had. They questioned if she always had this form then, but she doesn't really know, because if she did, most likely this barrier prevented her from using it. And so they would keep training. Marcy even comes up with the idea of wanting to train this form itself, because Marcy felt how draining this power was. So they come up with some ideas on how to do so. That is until they come up with just trying to make this form their new base. And so they do end up eventually doing that. It takes so long, especially since this form is so draining. But they eventually start to get it. And with doing that, their power actually starts to increase more than what they thought it would increase than just keep training in base. In fact, they even punch a small hole into the outside world, which greatly surprises them. Once that happens, they pull back on doing too much power because they don't want to accidentally break anything. And so they would keep training and training until eventually their full year is up. Once they emerge from the chamber, they find that a week has passed. Everyone else is still there, including Gohan, who has some books with him. This was an idea that Gohan had, as he wanted to see Ann emerge from the chamber, and so he convinced his mother to let him go with Goku to Kami's lookout as long as he brought some study materials, to which Chi-Chi compromised with that. When they see them walking out of the main building of Kami's lookout, they are surprised by many things about the girls. The first thing is that they cannot sense their power at all. It's like their power doesn't exist. Second of all, their hair is now tinted the same color as their Calamity form. And third, they can feel a new energy that is radiating around them. Instead of this more distant feeling that they have between the three, it is now a connected feeling with each other, and everyone can feel that. They asked about what happened, and they told them what they could. Even the part where they got together and became a polyamorous relationship. Goku doesn't really understand what that means, but Gohan explains that that's a relationship between more than two people. Goku did not know that was an option. He didn't even think that was possible. But it doesn't bother him that Ann is in that relationship. He is glad that Ann found happiness, to which Ann is very grateful for. Marcy asks Piccolo, who she keeps referring to as Nail. Nail just says that he is glad that Marcy is happy, and if anything, he can feel that this is the happiest Marcy has ever been since he known her, which makes Marcy greatly happy. Sasha asks Vegeta, but Vegeta tells her that he doesn't really care. Saiyans never really had long-term mates. The closest they've had was just finding a partner to mate with. And he can bet his pride that sometimes Saiyans would choose the same sex just for release. Which kinda makes Sasha happy. Kind of. She's just glad that Vegeta isn't hating on her for being not only in a gay relationship, but in a polyamorous relationship. After that, the chamber is reset to its normal time and everyone splits off into groups. Goku, Gohan, and Piccolo goes in. They don't necessarily need to change the property of the chamber, as Piccolo only needs water, so he can go in. Krillin and Yamcha goes in, Tien and Chaozu goes in, and then Vegeta goes in. And so with that, everyone gets really strong. Just like in canon, Gohan was able to get Super Saiyan, and they were able to get Grade 4 Super Saiyan, aka Mastered Super Saiyan. Vegeta was able to get Super Saiyan, and the Earthling had gained much more strength than it did in the original story. However, the Earthlings could not really last a full year in there. In fact, Goku and Gohan didn't even last a full year in there, mainly for the same reason that happened in the Cell Saga of the original story. Anyway, after that, they all returned home. Just like in the original story, Chi-Chi is surprised and sad that Gohan now has blonde hair. Goku tries to calm down Chi-Chi, telling her that this needs to be happening, but Chi-Chi does not want any of that, and can't even get through to Chi-Chi on this. In fact, Chi-Chi doesn't even like that Ann's hair is tinted blue now. Unfortunately, unable to win this battle, Goku and Gohan need to power down to their base form. And with that, everyone continues their training for the next 4 years. Throughout their 4 years, the trio's relationship develops even more. In fact, they even move in together after about a year and a half. Sasha was able to save up a lot of money because she'd mainly been living in Capsule Corp. Marcy doesn't really have a home because she mainly stuck with Piccolo, and Ann has been making some money due to her Takeover restaurant. They decide to get a house somewhere in Mount Paozu, mainly because they all liked the area, how it looked. And because they can fly, they don't necessarily need to worry about traffic or anything like that. So really, it's just a matter of finding a place where they enjoy being around. And that is Mount Paozu. They continue the training and continue to develop their lives and strength. In fact, Marcy even starts making some mangas or webtoons. In fact, Sasha is even starting to take some lessons in psychology. But however, things take a turn a year early than expected. A news broadcast had reported that an island that was 9 miles off of South City has been obliterated. Bulma was the first to hear about this, followed by Marcy and some of the human Z-Fighters. Marcy calls Anne, who was busy at her Takeover restaurant, to let her know what is happening. Anne immediately puts one of the employees in charge so she can go off, stating that it is an emergency. Sasha, who was working at Capsule Corp at the moment, was told by Bulma what is happening. And so Sasha goes to fly off. Everyone cross paths again on that island and see that the city that was there is destroyed.